Tonight, the city of Lagos
There is still a poor level of
Be the first to know. From the north, south, east, west, and around Africa, we break the news.
One Nigerian.
Now you can catch all the actions live as the news breaks. We are Core TV News.
Welcome to Core
A
TV News.
24-hour news station.
Good morning and welcome to Core Digest. I am Martins Dixon. Today we will be looking at another interesting topic of discussion, though complicated, and actually questions are being asked as a result of this happening, and that is the seizure of the $9.3 million and the jet that took the money to South Africa recently. The pressure is mounting. Everyone wants to know the truth, from those in the government coffers to ordinary Nigerians on the street, what exactly transpired and what is the true situation of things. I have a public affairs analyst here in the studio who is going to help us out with the discussions, looking at the issue generally, and analyzing and diagnosing the circumstances and everything that is entailed therein. And he is Victor Okai. Welcome to Core Digest.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for being here this morning.
Yeah.
We're looking at the $9.3 million that have been seized for now by the South African government, and also the jet that conveyed that money. Now, could this be said to be a form of money laundering? Or what?
There are more questions than answers at this point, but clearly there are clear procedures for money transfer. In this modern age and time, you don't move that amount of cash around for whatever reason. Of course, under certain, if you like, subterranean circumstances, if I may use that language, money like that may be used, may be moved around. When it is moved, whenever money like that is moved without going through a banking system, it's just so that money like that cannot be traced, you know, so that you don't trace, because every money has its, if you like, fingerprints or footprints. If you pass it through a financial system, then obviously tracing is a lot easier. So if you want to look strictly at the definition of laundering, there are other factors to consider when you're talking about money laundering. You are transferring money illegally, of course, but these are like monies that you cannot pass through official reasons, because, of course, this is like dirty money, stolen money, and stuff like that. In this particular case, there are a lot of factors to be considered. I mean, ab initio, the very circumstances surrounding it does not make it whatever excuse or whatever. I mean, if it had gone through, maybe we won't be talking. I mean, countries do it every day. Even the Americans, there are times when they do things. The Western powers, rather, let me be specific about America. In national interest, they do things that are quote-unquote illegal, but they have to, because any other means would expose what they have, what they're doing. You know, torture goes on every day. It is illegal, but you know, like they say about a thief, it is one that is caught that is a thief. Yeah. You know, but there are times when some unorthodox means are employed or deployed in towards achieving certain ends. This may, we don't know. We're waiting for the facts, you know, because the South Africans are launching an investigation. The government is yet to give, I mean, the Senate will be meeting on Tuesday with the National Security Advisor and some top officials. So it'll be nice to wait and hear what they have to say in order to be able to form a holistic picture.
Before we get to that angle, you see that this has, just like you said now, has triggered investigation by South African authorities, and the Nigerian authorities also say they are also investigating. Now, South Africa has come out to say it has to seize that money because the laws of the land forbids that huge amount of money should be moved into the country. It has passed the benchmark. And that is, now, why would that kind of money be moved out of the country? Even why did it escape the racket of our security agencies in the first place?
I said something earlier on. I said different governments globally, you know, embark on a lot of subterranean stuff like this all the time. It is the one that you catch that is a criminal. It doesn't justify it, mind you. It doesn't. It's how you clean up your act that matters. The South Africans are well within their rights. I mean, it's come out in the open, and they have to be seen to be doing what is right. Otherwise, it will mess up their own criminal justice system. If you let this go without proper investigation, I'm sure they will resolve it diplomatically, if indeed the government is fully involved in it. Brother nations as opposed to friendly nations. There's a difference. There are friendly nations, there are brother nations, there are friendly brother nations, you know, and there are neighboring nations and things like that, you know. Sometimes at high diplomatic levels like that, you know, truth is, this is, if the Nigerian intelligence system was and is truly involved in it, this wasn't very tidy. There was a loose end, you know, obviously. So, like I said, South Africans are well within their rights, not only to conduct an investigation, but to be seen to be doing same in their national interest, because otherwise anybody can come and do that tomorrow. And remember, if, assuming, for instance, is a deal between our government and their president, their president does not have a right on his own as an individual to break the laws. Okay? So for whatever it's worth, the process has to go through, and then in the end, you know, they will know how to resolve it and know what story to tell us jointly.
Okay, now let's look at this. There was a quick response from the Nigerian government that money was meant to acquire military hardware, military weapons. Probably that has not been stated, but and everybody will assume probably to fight the insurgency.
Well, that is the explanation. It is under the circumstance we're fighting a very, very unconventional war. You recall the $1 billion request the president made that has been, that is hanging somewhere, so to say, you know. I can't speak for government, I don't know what the situation is, but it's not impossible that this may be a desperate interim measure. Don't forget that the government has committed itself by saying that they will end insurgency by, is it October or December now? And if you made a commitment like that, you want to do it by all means possible. This could be one of such moves. I don't know. We don't have the facts. But it'll be interesting to hear what the NSA and the others have to say before the National Assembly. So if indeed it is, then it's probably one of those desperate moves, you know, to shore up the depleting stock and the outdated stock. Truth is, if they had to go through conventional means, if they had to go to the West, they may not get it. You know, there will be a lot of questions, there will be a lot of procedures.
Why wouldn't we get it?
In the time in between. Because don't forget, this is cash that is being used to buy this.
Yeah.
And cash like this, another alternative, and they can't do that, is to go to all these places where you have a lot
no,
of
if the government follows the legitimate procedure to purchase arms, now would it be impossible to get it done?
It's not impossible. That's the baffling fact about this case. I am not saying. I said we don't have the facts. We need to wait.
Yes.
But because the military,
we're
because the government has said that the National Intelligence Agency has an interest in this matter, and that they're the ones that are buying this.
Yeah.
It is on that basis that I can say what I'm saying, that we can say what we're saying. If indeed it is, let us examine the facts. Why would they want to do it? Why would they not go through the convention? That's informing my analysis.
Yes.
Okay? If you want to ask, why would they have done that? I've said it's a desperate, maybe an act of desperation. Because these things are happening. And don't forget, each time we lose territory and men and materials and all that, it affects even the PR of the government.
Of course.
You understand? So, and you know, while you're waiting for the tortuous process of approval for funding or extra budget from the National Assembly, where you might get politics and all of that, maybe, possibly, this is one of those moves, interim moves they're making. Say, look, let's see what we can get, and let's move. If you have to go through the West, the money must come from the approved money. We don't know if this money is from the security budget. We don't know. It is also possible. Okay? Now, and indeed, it is, you might call it a small money if you look at it in Nigerian.
Okay.
In terms of, although there's supposed to be a helicopter in this deal, alongside the other. A helicopter is part of what they're getting.
Part of what is going to be
one
acquired.
Helicopter. I don't know if it's a gunship, if it's a helicopter gunship, but I know a helicopter is one of the things that they are getting alongside the others. So alongside the arms. So I suspect, from the information they have given us, that it may be one of those desperate moves, interim moves, to help hasten, you know, the process of putting an end to the insurgency in the north.
Okay, is there a cash and carry market for these arms and weaponry?
Of course, you know that globally there are the, if you like, the ones you see, the deals you do above board and the deals you do under. Yeah. Yes. Boko Haram, we saw them with a few days ago. They captured the tank, an
armored tank, anti-aircraft,
yes, and all of that. How did they get it? Obviously, they didn't buy it legitimately. You know, I can't say our government condescending to the point of going to buy in those same black markets that they do. Okay, but this isn't even tidier. It's not even neater. But the Israeli there is probably maybe someone who is an arms dealer himself, but they want to give him cover to help them get what they want, to support the military. Because you see, and I put this to you, if you were the one that was faced with a situation like this, as is happening in the Northeast, your arms are depleted. It is claimed that the government, at least on ground, they claimed that they are inferior to the firepower of Boko Haram. I'm quoting now.
Yeah, you're
quoting. I'm quoting. I'm not. I don't.
But can we really hold to that? Because
no, I'm quoting.
Just a few days.
No.
The chief of army staff came to say you can't say that Boko Haram has more firepower than the Nigerian army. Now, denying the fact that that they use what they stole from the Nigerian armory and then they see
very good.
Back.
Okay, good. So they stole and all that from the Nigerian armory. So it means they have equal, or maybe they stole more superior equipment from the Nigerian army or the Nigerian armed forces. Maybe they got the better ones. If they stole it from them, they probably got the better ones. Okay? So now, if you look at a situation like this, and you're losing ground, and you have to go through conventional means to get there, and things are happening, you have two choices. You can wait and do the right thing, and get overrun, or you can take a risk. Remember what I said, it's a man that is caught that is a thief. Yeah? So, and I mentioned that this is probably a desperate move. We're waiting for the facts, please. For everything I say, it is important to put that in perspective.
Yes.
The picture will unravel and we'll get a clearer picture later. So, it could be one of those. And believe me, all governments, without exception, do things like this. Americans, they do torture. If they want information desperately, they will torture to get information. And say, to hell with human rights, whatever. They all do it. But they just hope that they don't get caught in the process. You understand? Because there are times when, yes, there is a law, keep the law and all that. And then there are times when they may have to use some other tactics to get what they want. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't. But they all do it. Okay? Here's a situation where the government needs arms desperately. The process of acquiring these arms, remember, America may not sell arms to you. If, for instance, why did the Americans not bring men into our territory for this Boko Haram fight? They said there are cases of human rights abuses. And the American government has a law.
And at the time they said we are capable of handling the situation.
Leave the issue of capable of handling, that was an afterthought, you know. The real reason is, and each country has its laws. If your country's law says any country that violates human rights, you know, or that breaks one law or the other, you cannot send your men to go there and, you know. I mean, they claim so, okay? Even in arms procurement, it could be that while you may not sell to rogue states, you may not sell to certain states who are accused of human rights abuse and things like that. If there are such laws, you can't go to people like that. They will not give you. My question is, why did they even go to South Africa? They could have gone to China. I'm sure China would gladly have sold these arms to us. Russia would probably gladly have sold these arms to us as well. Or maybe what they wanted is only available in South Africa is closer. But then again, Africa said there are neighboring, there are friendly countries, there are brother countries. I don't know, but again, the question has been asked. If it was official, it was from government, why was the Nigerian embassy not on ground and involved? But when you do moves like this, you don't necessarily, you probably do not carry people along. The reason is that there are leaks. You know, you want everything to completely, you know, covert. You know, because this one has leaked now, unfortunately. It could have been done successfully without anyone knowing. You understand what I'm saying? The minute you get other people involved, you don't know where the moves are. But that is on the assumption that this was meant for the Boko Haram, if you like, fight, you know,
or any other,
or any other for that matter.
Now, the one other question that has been on the minds of people and that needs to be unraveled is the company that is involved. Now, the South African government has come to say the company, the Tier 1 services that that the government says, or the money is said to be for to purchase these arms, are not authorized to sell or rent military hardware. And that if this company that is being approached with this $9.3 million is not authorized, then
I said something.
Where are the answers to those questions going to come from?
Everything was supposed to be covered, supposedly, for what we know so far, what we've been told so far. The minute you go to the authorized companies, the cover is blown. But that same company,
will they expose the deals?
Of course, it has to pass through normal channels. They have to pay taxes. Where did this money come from? For what purpose? How do you want to export it without going through normal channels? I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. Everything is supposed to be covered. Everything is supposed to be under the radar. So you cannot, along the chain, so by the time you bring it up, everything is, things are no longer the way they're supposed to be.
So where is the legitimacy to go through an unauthorized company for military hardware?
No, it's not legitimacy. I said this is unconventional. It is not. What has happened, with the benefit of hindsight now to government, is probably not the best. It probably should not have started it in the first place. Okay? But it was not an operation that was supposed to be in public view, that was supposed to be official. It wasn't something that was supposed to be known. Okay? I don't know how they could have managed it anyway with that amount of cash and how they were supposed to move those equipment. But the same company we say is illegitimate or is illegal or is not authorized to operate in South Africa.
The tier one, probably they operate for other businesses, maybe not, not weapons.
I don't have that fact, but the best I know so far is that they're supposed to supply the equipment. And if indeed they're supplying the equipment, whether that's their primary business or not, their job was to help procure this equipment, all these arms.
Probably a third party.
And ship it by whatever means possible, back here for, the purpose for which it was meant for, whatever it was.
Now, there has been the issue of the jet in question that was used.
Yes.
And the president of the Christian Association of Nigeria, who is said to own that jet, has come out swiftly to say the jet has been leased out to Green Coast Produce Limited, and so it should not be linked with whatever is happening.
If you look at it technically, I don't want to be misunderstood here, and I'm not given to emotions in my analysis. I look at facts and I analyze with them. Based on even the information you are telling, I'm quoting you now. I have the same information as you have, but I want to take it from what you have said. He has said it was leased to Green Coast. Okay? If it was leased to Green Coast, I want to say that more than at least 60% of the aircraft you have in this country, commercial aircraft, are on lease. I don't know if you're aware. Okay. The companies don't own them. Okay. They lease them from companies abroad. A lot of aircraft in Nigeria are not really owned by the companies. I mean, the cost of buying one aircraft is so, but it's cheaper to lease, so you can get many more in your fleet. Okay. So they are on lease, a lot of them, or at least in the recent past, most aircraft are leased from faraway countries, different countries and all that. Now, you cannot now hold the lessor responsible for for whatever is found on it here by the company that is running it commercially here. Remember what I said? I'm not given to emotion and unnecessary sentiments. I want to look at the facts and speak to the facts. Okay? If indeed he is the owner and he has leased it out, the company that he leased it to is solely responsible for whatever it does.
With the aircraft.
With the aircraft. It is in that light that I want to look at it. We will see what unfolds in the days to come. Okay? But if that is the case, I mean, it's easy because to just link and say, okay, and people do it anyway. If there's even a 1% remote connection between, let's say, an Obama, maybe his fifth cousin, far removed, has an interest in something that has to do with terrorism, they will immediately tie it in to Obama. They will then say Obama's cousin. It doesn't matter that they may have never met, but that they have some blood lineage. These things happen. But that's what happens when you're a public figure. You take the assets with the liabilities. you have to take, it comes with a lot, and you have to, it goes with the territory, so he cannot exculpate himself completely, because indeed there is a linkage.
Yeah, because some
and
people
so
have...
easy. That's what makes it news.
Yeah,
if that element was not there, for instance...
Because at the brink of the information, some people came to say that he has to explain his involvement and all that. And
that's what he did. He lists it out. That's what he did. That's an explanation, isn't it? He lists it out. Yes, okay, I have an interest in this, but I list it out. It's like, I have not said he's gracefully completely free, because something has been linked to him. So it's his job to say, look, okay, this is to the extent that I know, and from this point on, I don't know anything about it. But there are, again, we'll have to look at what the laws have to say about matters like this, you know. But to the extent that I've explained, if a company has taken the aircraft on a lease for regular business and all that, then it's like, it's no different from what our commercial airlines are doing.
Now, what does this tell to the relations between Nigeria and South Africa, the scenario that is playing out?
I don't want to...
You know, in the recent past, we'll have some little frictions here and there in the last 2 years.
If a country is, at the diplomatic level, on the surface, they claim to be brother nations. Remember, I said there are brother nations and there are friendly nations. I cannot swear that they are necessarily friendly nations. But they are in the AU together. They do a lot of business together. I don't want to throw up sentiments, because South Africa has its laws. And it is well within its right to apply the laws accordingly. And it probably would be too hasty for the government to have covered up simply because the Nigerian government said what it said. But on the other hand, if a country is not necessarily that friendly, if you play into their hands, they'll mess you up. They might strike first and apologize later, but they will have struck. Okay?
The damage will have been done.
Yes. Even if later I say, oh, it's okay, we'll see how we can resolve. But the point has been made. Because right now, this is not too tidy for us. Especially because cash was moved. Especially because we're talking about cashless society, you know, and it's not very tidy in the international community that anyone, for that matter, is moving that amount of cash around. It's not very tidy, you know. But like I said, all governments do some of these dirty things. But, you know, if you get caught, then too bad for you. They will say, crucify him, crucify him. You know, like you have so many people who condemn, let me use the language. You see a man or woman, she commits adultery, and it's like, how could you, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, the person who is talking probably just the day before committed something similar. You understand what I'm saying? You know, but because you get caught, then it's, you know what I mean? So, unfortunately, we shouldn't have, at a time like this particularly, have exposed ourselves like this. You know, it's not very tidy. Not very tidy.
Now, apart from South Africa itself, and how much will it affect movement of aircraft, especially private jets and other things from Nigeria to other countries? Do you think we're beginning to see a kind of stringent checks?
Yes, of course.
How is that going to affect
greater scrutiny now? They're going to be, I mean, they're going to be subjected to greater scrutiny now, because, you know, I mean, this is not a government jet. It's a private jet. So, but the only thing I think, the reason why on this end it went through is that I think it didn't go through the normal process from here, you know. But over there, you can't manipulate the system. But it just means here, unless, if the government has an interest, it might say, okay, look, the other way, this is what we want to do. We need to have these arms, by all means. and we need, this is the money we're using to go and get them. We need to do this, gentlemen.
But even when we want to go covered,
yes,
okay, can't we approach the government over there and look at that? This is exactly what is on ground. This is what we want to do.
That's what, these are the loose ends that we will either be tied up after Tuesday or further complicate matters. Don't forget that it has been argued too that even the embassy should have been on ground. Probably should have been couched as a diplomatic baggage or something or whatever, you know. But there are more questions than answers. I wish I had an answer to that, because ideally, yes, that should have been done. But remember, all countries have their laws. Even the presidents cannot bend the laws or break the laws. Okay? Maybe at certain levels, with some form of cooperation where they say, like, okay, look, this is a friendly country. Okay? Not necessarily a brother country. A friendly country, and they're having problems. A friendly and a brother country, that's my third category. They're having these problems and we need to help them. At that level is neat. You know, that should have been done. But there are more questions now than we can answer. Maybe that Israeli was supposed to go and he was given, he promised, oh, I can deliver, I can give you what you want. That probably was the only level of involvement of government. Can you get us the arms? By all means, go. And then he went on his own. Okay? The government was not involved, but they were aware that he was supposed to get something. That is also an explanation.
Okay, image, now globally.
No, this is not tidy. You can't defend this.
Now, how does it place Nigeria or to make the world?
No, it's not tidy. It's not tidy. Nigeria. I mean, it's not tidy at all. It's not, because moving that amount of, you pass through, money is supposed to pass through the banking system. You wire money. I mean, if you do wire it, it probably will land at the same time as the plane. And there are other benefits to the country. Charges and all that go to the banking system. You understand what I'm saying? And it also strengthens your laws, because you're obeying your laws. You know, so, but to move that kind of cash, it's difficult to explain and defend, quite frankly.
Okay, remember we have very, very serious issues of corruption and perception to corruption in the world generally. Now, with this coming up now, movement of this cash, how will the perceived fight and war against corruption in Nigeria and be looked at by the whole world?
You see me, I keep referring to, let's wait for the facts to come out.
Yeah, but...
No, I'm coming. I'm coming to it. I'm answering the question. Okay. If this was meant for arms, then that's what it was meant for. It's not to do with corruption. But it's just the fact that it was done under circumstances that are under abnormal circumstances. They're not right, but the rule is don't get caught. Okay? But otherwise, if it's a cover-up, then this stinks. It stinks because the reason you need to pass through the banking system is that it opens the deal to scrutiny, to accountability, and some sort of openness. Okay? But when it's covered, it could have been for anything. It could just be people moving cash. Laundering will then come in at that point. I'm not quick to use the word laundering yet because we're waiting for information. Nobody has a total picture. A few people have, but not all of us. Let's wait for the stories that will come out. But in terms of corruption, I fight against corruption. If indeed it is government that shot itself in the foot, because you cannot say one thing and do another. You know, it's contradictory. You have to be above board, you have to be seen to be keeping your own laws, you know. So to that extent, that's not very tidy, but, you know, so that's it.
All right, we'll come back to some other aspects of this discussion with regards to the seized amount. Viewers, it's been called digest, and we're looking at the $9.3 million and the jet has been seized in South Africa recently, generating reactions, questions, and discussions and analysis around the country. We're looking at that this morning. We'll take a short break and we'll be back to look at other aspects that has to do with that seizure. Please don't go away.
You can now watch Core TV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to Core TV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click Core TV, leave a space, then news. Core TV News, a 24-hour news station.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digi360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.